You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. I don't mean to continue to kick this anthill. And I understand, by and large, where the lines are drawn on this conversation. Nationally, for whatever reason, Brian Kelly isn't well liked. I don't really understand it, but I also understand it to be true. I mean, as soon as that game went final with Notre Dame and Penn State, immediately my Twitter mentions became Marcus Freeman this, Brian Kelly that, but that conversation started in my Twitter mentions. Do a Google search for Brian Kelly's name the next day, and it's nothing but headlines about how Brian Kelly looks awful, Marcus Freeman won the day, Notre Dame won the whole divorce, all that sort of stuff. Okay. And everybody's got their opinions, and I mentioned the lines are drawn, and I think by and large, we all know where we fall at this point. Notre Dame people, by and large, feel like Brian Kelly was the reason that Notre Dame couldn't get over the hump. Brian Kelly looked and said, and he made these comments then in 22 where he said, I want to go somewhere where I have resources to win a national championship. That didn't sit well with Notre Dame people who aren't used to being told they are less than for a program with that historical significance. But as I shared with you, I believe that is the case. Indiana is not a talent-rich state. The advantage Notre Dame had forever, their history and their NBC deal, means less. Kids today, young people today, don't know anything about Lou Holtz, let alone the Four Horsemen. Don't care. And everybody's on TV. So good luck getting people to a remote town in northwest Indiana to go play football because you promised them they're going to be on NBC. So? And because 100 years ago, some dudes rode around with leather helmets on horses. Nobody cares. They don't. They really don't. So that's why Brian Kelly came here. And everybody's got their opinions, as we've talked about. But this was something that I heard Brady Quinn say on the Two Pros and a Cup of Joe podcast. That was the most telling commentary so far. And Brady Quinn goes, it's about a 4-minute long monologue from Brady Quinn about what happened back in 22 when Brian Kelly left Notre Dame that got Notre Dame to this point. So, and the way he sets this up is he says over and over again, like, all right, I'm going to be transparent, essentially saying he's about to say something that he's never said before. And I'm not going to play 4 straight minutes of this. I'm going to cut it up and I'm going to give you a little bit of commentary. But this is Brady Quinn, former Notre Dame quarterback, going back to 2022, the beginning of 2022, after Brian Kelly leaves Notre Dame for LSU, when he says, I want to go somewhere where I have the resources to win a national championship.
This has been a long time in the making. You know, when you go back to how Notre Dame ultimately got here, this was all sparked by the decision of Brian Kelly to choose to go to LSU. Brian Kelly, the head coach at LSU, who back when he left Notre Dame, I think he said sometime in January that he wanted an environment where they had the resources to win a national championship. That was his words. And just to be fully honest and transparent, that ticked me off, man. Literally, I called my attorney the next day and I said, you're going to file for a collective. This is what we're going to do. This is how you're going to put it together. I formed a board, started a fundraise, proved the concept. After that, started to bring on more people and grow and expand, and created a collective that had the resources necessary to support this. So this is back in all triggered because of Brian Kelly.
Okay. So Brady Quinn was ticked that Brian Kelly left, so he started a collective to fundraise. Well, how did that go?
There are so many people who stepped up from Notre Dame Nation to help put together the resources necessary to support Marcus Freeman, to support the players, to be able to step up because they were ticked off. I'm just one of many. Like when I look at what our collective was able to start and how we were able to help out our football team, it was in large part a call to action because of Brian Kelly. And if you look at where the university is at now and the fact that they're building on to their sports performance center, they've got millions that they've been able to raise through NIL and support their program. And many players, which the quarterback Riley Leonard, probably off the top amongst everyone else, is there in a big reason because of NIL. All those things to me, like I take great pride in.
So Brady, let's go back a second. Brady, if you would, let's go back for a second. So Brian Kelly leaves, says, just to make sure I got this right. Brian Kelly leaves, says, I don't have the resources to win a national championship here. You get ticked. You start a collective. You've raised millions of dollars for NIL. Part of the reason you got Riley Leonard there. Your words, not mine. You built the Sports Performance Center, right? Oh, by the way, like the one that LSU built for Brian Kelly on the back of the football operations facility so that he couldn't get done at Notre Dame. Comes here, done, right? You were fundraising, and you've had so many people from Notre Dame Nation step up. And so Brian Kelly leaving was a call to action. Did I get that right, Brady? So Brian Kelly leaving was the call to action to fundraise and get all this up. So he was right, bro. You are confirming his assertion. You are saying exactly why Brian Kelly left. Had you done this before he left, he never would have left. You're saying he left, I was pissed, so I was like, we're call to action. Raise money, build facilities, NIL. Why weren't you doing that for the last 20 years? That was Notre Dame's problem. It wasn't Brian Kelly. It was Notre Dame. It was always Notre Dame. So my assertion has been Notre Dame still hasn't achieved anything that Brian Kelly didn't achieve. Brian Kelly twice got you into a 4-team playoff. If we were still in a 4-team era, Marcus Freeman's team this year wouldn't be in the playoff. They'd be sitting their ass at home watching like you and me. But Brady Quinn, oh, no, that's not the case.
And I know there's a lot of people who are like, hey, the mission's not done. This is no different than Brian Kelly. BS. This is very different than when Brian Kelly had this football team. The way Marcus has built this thing up, the way Notre Dame has built up over his tenure so far, it feels different because it is different. This is nothing comparable to what Brian Kelly was like when he was the head coach there. They had some great teams. The 2012 team that went to a national championship with Manti Te'o. You look at some of the teams with Ian Book, guys who were able to get to the playoff. The way this team is playing, the way it's built, the resources that they have, it's on a different level now.
The resources they have is on a different level. And by the way, Brady, if on Monday, Ohio State goes and kicks the holy hell out of Notre Dame like many of us think is going to happen, then what? It looks different. It feels different. Your resources are different, but where are you? You're in the same spot. Now, if Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame go and beat Ohio State, win the national championship, that'd be an incredible accomplishment. And salute him, and this conversation would be over. But as of right now, you ain't done nothing Brian Kelly didn't do. Brian Kelly got you there 3 times and got your ass kicked by really good teams. And I think that's what's staring Notre Dame down the face on this coming Monday. But all that don't change the fact that Brady Quinn is validating Brian Kelly's reason for leaving. Brian Kelly said he wanted to be somewhere where he had the resources to compete for a national championship. Only when Kelly left did Brady Quinn go ignite that fuse among Notre Dame. Okay, that's fine. But you're still confirming the reason why Brian Kelly left Notre Dame. Because he was a good enough coach with one hand tied behind his back to get that sorry-ass program to a BCS championship game and 2 4-team playoffs. and get his ass kicked by NFL teams from the South. And only when he left did you all move to get the new coach the resources needed. Now, none of that has anything to do with what Brian Kelly's done in Baton Rouge. Because a lot of y'all are sitting here today going, yeah, Matt, but he hadn't done anything in Baton Rouge. You're right. Ain't nobody going to throw a ticker tape parade in this town because you went 9-3 and won a bowl game. And then 8-4 and won a bowl game. You got to win the last one and hold the waffle cone shaped trophy. I get it. It's what we all want. He ain't done it yet. But that's a completely different conversation to the one Brady Quinn's having, which is, why did Brian Kelly leave? Brian Kelly left to go to a program where he would have the resources to compete for a championship, which he's telling you, Brady Quinn is telling you, Brian Kelly did not have when he was in South Bend. Apparently Marcus Freeman's got him now. So if Marcus gets his ass kicked on Monday by Ohio State, what's his excuse? New layer of intrigue. That game on Monday night. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.